There's quite a few people called it's the button down the bottom of the screen as well.
That's their last name. Right? Their last name.
If you move the mouse, the button will appear at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm better. I'm still writing. I almost burned down the house this morning.
Oops.
Oops. So I still smell the smoke, and I've opened the windows, and now it's still smoky, but I didn't burn down the house. This is the good news.
Good. Yeah, this is a good thing. The house is still unburnt.
Unburned. It smells like toast. Burnt toast.
Yeah.
But oh well.
I don't even have to burn my toast for the smoke alarm to go haywire.
That's why mine is
loud.
That's why mine is turned off.
Yeah. But mine's wired into the mains. I don't know how to turn it off.
In America, we have these little battery operated things you stick on the ceiling, and you can just take the battery out.
Yeah, no, we're not allowed those. We have to have the ones that are wired in. They have a battery as well, so if the power goes off, they'll still work on the batteries.
Yeah. Well, and my smoke detector is right outside my tiny little kitchen that always, if I cook anything. So anyway, it's not the first time, and it probably won't be the last time. So whatever. How are you at the end of your day?
I'm just having a stroke. I'm quite tired, actually.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's not new.
Yeah, it was not a good night last night. I've had some better sleep the last week, but last night wasn't a good one.
Yeah. Well,
I woke up about 2 and didn't get back to sleep. I sort of dozed but didn't really sleep until about 4:30. Then I gave up and got out of bed.
Yeah. It's part of life, right?
Still another 2 weeks till I can see the doctor to get that jab.
Yeah. How's it going with the, letting your shoulder know it doesn't have to hold your arm on anymore?
Whenever I remember, which will be several times a day, I will go, oh yeah, just doesn't seem to be helping the pain, but I still think it's a useful thing to be aware of. I'll do it laying in bed. I'll do it now. Just, that's a bit stiff. It doesn't need
take a moment and just take.
Just relax shoulder.
Yeah. It almost the simple just reminder that, body.
Yeah.
As
squishy stuff.
Yeah, just right, breath and body and just kind of itself. For me, and maybe for others. Yeah. And the temptation is to just get 1 second of that and then jump back into the head, right? Just okay, but now what was I supposed to do? And who? Yeah. And partly for me is because when I do go body, it's so yummy if I want to just get lost there forever, and
I did try that sometimes. Have you heard of ASMR?
Nope, I don't think so.
There's a ton of videos about it on YouTube. Some people can, if they're listening to some very quiet sounds, they can get into an experience, what's said to be a very pleasant body experience.
Yeah.
Where the body sort of gets very rested and it tingles. And I did it once only. I said, I've set up my speaker. So when I say Alexa, I won't say it now, but if I say it, good night, she turns all the lights off and starts a bit of music, atmosphere, an hour of ambient music. to go to sleep to. And there was just once I just caught myself on the edge of sleep.
Yeah.
And my body just, oh, it was beautiful, lovely tingling. And I keep trying to get back to that. And
This reminds me of a joke. Here you go. This is Marshall. This is from Marshall Rosenberg. Nobody wants to be my friend. That's why. It's a poem. And it's,
yeah.
I love that. It's just, right. I keep trying and trying. That's why. The trick is to let go of trying, and then we're here already.
Never went anywhere.
Yeah, because there's no place to go, actually. We only think we're not.
This is the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
The moment where we will spend the rest of our lives.
Yeah, this moment. Not that next one we're trying to get to. Meanwhile, not being in this one. Yeah. 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 So what are we planning for this time? Have you?
Yeah. What are we planning? I don't know if you got a chance to look. I spent some time tidying up documents that I was finding very difficult to follow, and there were documents spread all over the place. So I didn't know about making links. I've discovered you can make links between different places, because I've got documents in the purpose group and documents in the agreements group, because there's a little agreements group.
Ah, okay. Haven't been in that.
So there's 4 of us go. Well, that's, for the time being at least, that's a closed group. There was just, Diane wanted to work on it, and she invited 4 people that she knows.
Okay, so those are secret documents.
No,
they're secret documents. Only available to the group.
It's not a secret. It's just.
It's okay.
Because part of that, we want to work with agreements, and part of the agreements lab is that the agreements lab has agreements. So we have agreements about agreements, and that wanted to do pretty much the same thing about what.
No, it's a good thing. I'm laughing.
The user. So the user manual thing. Have you come across that concept?
Yeah. Well, I was given by my mother 30 years ago a very darling user's manual for a human being that somebody wrote. I wish I still had a copy.
This one's more specific.
Yeah. Yeah.
This so we can write our own individually, our own
customize
what specifically works.
But a template how to do that.
And it takes. Yeah, there's a template, and it takes some stuff, because the problem is that stuff was duplicated in that horrible the goddess document, which I try to avoid looking at, that because I just end up upset because it's so confusing.
Good plan
to me. No doubt people who are cleverer or less dyslexic than me can make sense of it, but I can't make sense of it. It just, so I try to stay out of that. So the stuff that's in there that I've found useful, I put elsewhere.
Okay, so you've reorganized.
So I created.
Yeah. Speak.
So I've created for us a purpose buddy container document.
Okay, where can I find that?
I'll find it for you now.
Okay.
I thought I emailed it to you, but perhaps I didn't. Hold on just a sec.
You did email me, and I read something, and I didn't look at my email this morning. I read.
Okay, so it's probably, yes, I did something on it. Purpose group. Here we go. So I made a purpose buddies folder.
Okay. Is this in the Wednesday folder or, whoops.
Yeah, and then I made a Harmony and Mike folder, which probably isn't that useful, actually. There probably won't be enough to go in there. But here you go. I'm going to send you a link now in the chat.
Okay, that's a good way to do it.
There you go.
All right, I'm going to hit that and see what we're talking about. Stop. Oh, okay, Docs, Google.
So we did some stuff before that was in one of the distressingly large number of copies of the Goddess document. So I forgot. I thought I had it in. I thought we'd done it, and then I couldn't figure out where it was, because I thought we had a chat about our vision and what we might do, sort of probably right at the beginning. And I found it. So I've copied it out. I've put it in this document.
Okay.
So there's a document about 7 pages, about 2 paragraphs of my stuff.
All right. Let me just take a little glance at this after everything else that layered on top of it in my screen showed up so I can barely see it. I'm person 2 in this document, apparently. That is showing me. And other people are person
You're showing
1.
up as anonymous bat.
Other people are person 1. Take off the layer here. I mean, I'm just my inner experience is how absurd all the internet online shit is, and how anyway. Oh, I'm having fun. Okay. And I'm also concerned that I can't see you now to see if you're enjoying my humor and my laughing or not. So now there you are.
I am.
Okay.
Fear not.
So I'm looking back now. I'm gonna put you underneath so I can look at what you sent me. I'm gonna layer you down in the stack here for a second. Mike, okay, purpose. Okay. And then there's you at the top, values and gifts, agreements, mission. Okay, so that is your personal, it says Harmony and Mike container, but it seems like it only has your answers to those questions. Am I right? Is that what I'm looking at?
As far as I can, as far as I can remember, you didn't do any answers to those questions yet. So hopefully we can put yours and mine in there.
Okay.
And then merge them together.
Okay.
And if you did do some answers, then I don't know where they are. They're in another one of that distressingly large number of copies of the Goddess document.
Distressingly.
One that I didn't find.
I love the label you've given that document and all its copies all over the place.
Multiplying, terrifying.
Distressingly large.
So it might be that you did answer them.
Well, see, I have my own thing that I've been doing. Let me put you back on screen here. Because we might spend half the year just getting our documents to where we can find them.
Yep. Probably time well spent if we can find them. Because there were so many copies, stuff was starting to get duplicated. And some stuff was new in one copy and some stuff was new in another.
You can make a copy of something and leave it in the original folder, or you can move it into another folder, but once it's there, I'm enjoying this.
I took the good stuff. Where is my document? I took the good stuff out and deleted the document.
You deleted the garbage. Okay.
Yeah.
I
try and make things tighter.
What I have done, I'm not sure what I've done, but I have a folder in my own Google Drive that is an NVC purpose folder in which I have both some of the documents that I have created shortcuts to, so I don't always have to go to that purpose massive thing group. And then I also have within that a folder that's you and me. That's like where we're keeping our stuff. And in that folder, I have the beginning of a document that I was putting my purpose and my values, and I started to do that work myself. I'm not even sure at this moment what all is in there. But it sounds like I can start to take some of that and then add it into this document. Like there's a mic version, and then below that there will be a harmony version in this document, and then there'll be an us version. Is that how you see it?
I see it as only being the us version. So it might be useful to begin with to put your stuff in separately. But I think ultimately I'd like it to be one document for the us. So we'll have our own purpose stuff elsewhere. So this stuff is specifically to what we're doing together.
Okay. Okay. Let me take a look.
So it might take a bit of work to agree how they merge together.
Yeah, that's going to be 3 months worth of work.
That's fine. We have time. Yeah.
Okay, so values and gifts.
I'm not planning to die just yet.
You're not planning what?
Not planning to die just yet.
Okay, thank goodness. I was worried.
I'm not sure how useful is it to put values and gifts in this document. I'm not clear on that. Did I put them in there?
Yeah, well, you put a link to them.
I put a link, didn't I?
Yeah, user manual for Mike. That's where your gifts and values are listed. And then your vision and purpose, which is another document of yours, is under Mike's vision and purpose. But those are both listed at the top here. Should I or you want to reference them? That's how I'm seeing this. And then the agreements we make to support us both. The one you have listed here is in case there's a conflict. You have that one as an agreement.
Yep.
And that's where you've started. And I'm sure there's more we want to put in there. And it seems like that's what our kind of our next step is going to try to be, is to flesh out those agreements that we both want to have about how.
Yeah, what's there at the moment is really a placeholder.
Yeah. And then the things we do to realize the purpose. Let me scroll down and see if I can see what you've done there. Oh, that's the top of the bottom of the document. Okay. Or yes.
That's as far as I got.
Someone stuck something.
And again, the things we do realize that this is the purpose of this partnership.
Yes.
So this is not our each individual purposes. It's the purpose of the partnership.
Exactly.
Because the things we do, we meet once a week.
Yeah, exactly.
And have a good laugh.
I'm happy. Let's just do that. Then we don't have to do all this other work.
Yeah.
But actually, it's the work that brings the laughter. So there we go. Now I'm trying to find you again. I've layered you over. Here you are. Okay. All right. Let me just. I'm just gonna let my body catch up to that, or something catch up. I'm not sure what part wants to catch up. Wow. Learning to wait till the words come.
Oh. Because I'm assuming that my approach to the documents is going to work for you. I'm going to check that as well to make sure you're okay with that.
I am going to assume I'm okay with it, and I'm going to appreciate that you are looking to find a way that both works for you and for me and for us, so we don't spend all our time finding documents and being lost in the miasma of absurdly, what is your term for all those documents? Absurdly, I don't know if it was
distressingly large number.
Distressingly large number. Thank you. I probably ought to give you a backstory in this moment, a short little check-in backstory that might matter. Since we last met, I've had, okay, I'm not going to get lost in introducing it because I do that. Maybe I can. Since we last met, I've had a epiphany. That's the word I want. And the epiphany, thank you. There's a delay. and I want to see it land in you, so I'll slow down because of the epiphany is I've been thinking for the last 20 years and sort of kind of pressuring myself to pursue the purpose or the goal or the mission of, or at least my identity in that as being like a therapist and a helper and a guide and a coach or whatever, something like that for people. Yeah, the epiphany now has really coalesced for me. I've had pieces of it, but the epiphany is, oh, no. I'm a host. I'm an entertainer. I'm an engager of people. I'm a conversationalist. And that is my work and my role rather than
host,
yeah,
conversationalist, and entertainer.
Yeah.
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 So to hold a space where people will be comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
A place they'll be happy to be, pleased to be.
Yep. And they will,
nice.
They won't be just an audience, they will be engaged. So it's dynamic. And
no, not just passively attending, but
exactly
taking part in some way.
Exactly. And that's where I shine. I love that. I do it everywhere I go, kind of without ever trying. And it brings me joy and satisfaction.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, please. No. And here's how it fits my purpose. So my purpose is to live my fullest aliveness. That's like a meta level of why I'm on the planet. And part of what brings me that sense of aliveness is hosting and seeing other people land in their own fullest aliveness. And that's the magic, in a way, that what a hostess does for me. It's like, wow, show me who you are, because I want to see your best, whatever self is that feels the most alive for you. And when
so that's a lot about authenticity in there by the sound of it, which we're often that in itself is a skill that it's difficult to practice in this civilization. We're not encouraged to be authentic. We're encouraged to play a part that fits in with what the system wants of us.
Exactly.
To project a persona.
Yep. And so
that spontaneous authenticity is a skill.
Yeah.
And a gift.
Being it and then modeling it. And so I'm, in a sense, I teach through the example of my being, but what I'm not really teaching anything. I'm giving people an opportunity to do the same thing. And, with a really, like to just, oh, I can be myself here. Oh, fantastic,
Oh.
So part of that is recognizing some sort of gifts or skills that I have. And one of them is this ability and capacity to see the absurdity and just laugh, so that when you name, again, give me the terms, I'm going to have to write them down, this document, the
distressingly large number of copies.
See, that lands in me as so funny. And then, and so to me, it's almost like recognizing that and feeling it is, it's a refreshing, disengagement from the cultural expectations of how we, of everything. Which is another invitation to just, right? Just let's play. Let's just play. So, yeah, anyway, I can get, so I feel so liberated to let go of all this serious stuff that's really in the way of my aliveness and your aliveness, right?
So this epiphany, have you written it down?
Yes.
Great.
I have written it, and as I wrote it, I was starting to see how it fits into the mission, purpose, gifts, format. You know?
Good. Because people like Donella Meadows was saying that it's important to share it.
Yeah. And
go public with it. Don't keep it, don't make it a secret. No. Go public.
I have a person who's my agent. I want to do a podcast. I know how I want to do it now too. Because yeah.
There's two people I know now that want to do podcasts, but one of them is a technophobe, so I'm helping her out with the technology.
Nice. Well, maybe you can help me with that too when I get to that, because that's not my forte. But I already realized how much, well, so for I've written down what this is. I don't know if I want to share it with you now. I could share the document when we're finished so you can see what it is I've been putting together, or I could read some of it to you now, or we could do something else with this time. I'm completely open, but I'm very excited. Yeah.
I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear what your podcast's about and where you've got to.
Okay.
And yeah, I could do this. I could do with a little drink here as well.
Okay, let me find it. I kind of want to give you the backstory, but I think what I'll do, let me get some other stuff out of the way here. Maybe I'll just give you there's such a story. Okay, let me just see how to use this, how to be, the name even makes me laugh. Okay, so the name of the podcast is called The Road Trip to Fairfax. Okay, and Fairfax, actually, what this comes from is a conversation with a friend. I used to drive, he used to take me once a week. We would go together, we were dancers. Once a week, he would come pick me up, I would get in his car, and we would drive 45 minutes to a dance in this town called Fairfax. And we would dance, and then we'd get in his car, and then we would drive back, and he would drop me off and go home. So we did this for about a year, pretty close to that many times. And I was recently on the phone with him, and we were, okay, wait, let me bring it back. So in my latest phone conversation with him, hold on, let me just see why this isn't working, me telling you this right now. Okay, so the podcast is called Road Trips to Fairfax. And Fairfax is going to be spelled Fairfacts. Fairfax.
Yeah.
So it's road trip. Yep. Road Trip to Fairfax with friends. So the friends are the people in the back seat of the car, or the people listening in on the podcast, or whoever else the rest of the people are.
So you can imagine your audience are the people sitting in the back of the car.
Exactly.
listening to your monologue.
Yes. And it's monologue, but it's dialogue, because I have this listener who loves being entertained by me. And from time to time, he also, has his thoughts and his stuff to share. So here's where I'll start. What will be the theme? Road trip is where two people really get to know each other, because a road trip tests our relationship. So I don't know if you have this backstory, but people who are like exploring being a couple or getting to know each other, if they take a long road trip and they're trapped in a car for hours and hours and hours. Right?
Yeah.
So
if you can survive that, you can survive anything.
Exactly. So that's the setting. So it has storytelling, and it has self-revelation, like this is who I am. These are, it's sort of what I call self-revelation. We'll dive into our histories and also explore the deeper questions of life, because that's who I am. And every friend I have goes into the deeper questions of life with me, because that's just where we go. So the podcast will have this co-host, my friend, at least initially, but we'll also call in other people. So I might have dialogues with other people, or the three of us. I don't know for sure yet, but so it's not just him and me forever having, endless rehash conversations. Okay.
So it's part of your purpose to inspire people to look at the big questions of life.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So here's the next paragraph.
Why am I here?
Yeah, exactly. So we have this light banter and fun, but we also really, what you said. So it's taking time, and lots of time, to be together on the road. So you got that, right? It's a lot of time. And it's filling the time with personal sharing and asking questions to get to know each other, and listening to what makes the other person tick, what makes the other person come alive, what lights them up, and what their stories are. What stories do they have to tell? These are like teaching stories. As you know, you have maybe you don't have any spiritual background, but I have a sense you've listened to many, wise people. They often teach through stories, like it's their stories. So the chemistry of the two people, or whoever else, emerge and develop and flourish. And there really is, I'm excited again. We're excited over almost losing you. So let me find you again. So there's time. There's like what we don't have in our culture, time. And no distractions, really. There's just me and this other person, or this other person calling in, and long hours of driving, and no like cell phone or Facebook or all these other things that, keep us from deep self connection and relating.
Get rid of the distractions.
Got it. Yeah.
No Facebook.
So that's the kind of the concept, maybe, or come back to you. And as I think of it, all of a sudden I'm realizing, this fits, and this fits, and this fits, and this fits. This is me, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me. Easy, easy, easy.
So this is what you could do without very much effort.
Precisely.
Just being yourself. Precisely. If you're being yourself, that's what happens.
That's what happens. That's it.
When you stop trying to be somebody else,
Exactly.
There's the authentic harmony.
Exactly.
Marvelous.
And my friend says,
Marvelous.
well, my friend starts to say, well, how will you prepare for this? And I say, my whole life is the preparation for this.
You're born ready.
It's spontaneous, engagement. And
there's a lovely line in Eddie Izzard, the comedian and actor, lands a big part in Hollywood. I think it's a TV series rather than a movie, but it's a big budget TV series. And the interview says to him, kind of with a hint of doubt in his voice, "Are you ready for this?" And Eddie Izzard says, "I was born ready."
Exactly. It's like I finally found where I fit, And the beauty too is that it's easy. I don't have to go get hired by CBS and become, a newscaster, and I don't have to go out and become an actor, and I don't have to, I basically just do a Zoom with someone, go live on Facebook, record it, have it broadcasted. It's all here, the tech, and then letting people know, and the people that will like it will join. And those are the people that I'm after.
I hope you put it somewhere other than Facebook as well, because I'd like to listen, and I'm not on Facebook.
Oh yeah, Facebook is just an avenue for live broadcasting that's already set up with no cost.
You can do live broadcasting on YouTube as well.
Oh, well, that maybe we'll do that too, or one or the other. Okay, thank you for that. I almost prefer it to Facebook, because I don't really like Facebook that much. I really don't like Facebook that much, so that's good to know. Yeah, and then I just have to do, it's funny, I'll add one other piece, because these are pieces that have, they were here and here. It's almost like they were swirling and swirling, and somehow one piece, it's almost like a chemistry experiment. One catalyst stacked them all up. So they all were just like, oh, that's how they fit together.
A whole lot fell into place.
Yep. And then it's clear as crystal clear, like, and I can tell too, because I'm so on board. I am like, oh, there's not a bit of doubt or how is it going to be, none of that is here. It's just like, all right, let's go. Like the guy, I was born ready, right? Yeah.
If can I suggest something?
Please.
Possible topic for one of your podcasts would be to ask someone, when could they describe the time in their life when they were most connected to life, to being alive?
Okay, I'm gonna write this down.
I can't remember why it was on my mind. Something happened that reminded me, because then that question came to me, and the time when I was most connected to life was those last few weeks I spent with Linda Joy.
Yes.
Which is quite the most extraordinary experience of my life.
Exactly.
But that's an aside. But it's an interesting question.
What it says is, and I've seen this in other avenues, where like, think back on your life and what are you most proud of, and what were the elements of it and why. It helps people, see themselves. Right?
When were you at your best? When in your life were you playing at your best? Living your best?
And then
things like that.
Exactly. That's perfect. And he can tell me his, I can tell him mine. People listening are thinking, when was mine? Is it like that or not? Yeah.
And then there's questions like, from those experiences, whatever they are, you could ask someone what's the most frightening thing that ever happened. But so what are the gifts of those experiences? How are we changed by those experiences? What do we take away? What still lives with us?
Exactly.
These are
exactly.
God, I love it. God, yeah. Let me know. I want to hear it. I want to listen to it.
You know, and just so, even as the person is telling, we often, even when we tell our story, we gloss over, or we just don't get the impact of certain things. So I'm imagining, you know, like if it were you talking about this death, it was like, well, what about that satisfied you? You know, or if you say something, I can't remember exactly your story, but if you say something, I could say, just like you do with me, so it was this that had the impact, right? And then you get to pause and go, oh my God, that matters to me. That's a big deal for me. That's important.
It's quite extraordinary how somebody can repeat back to us something we said, and when we hear it back, think, yeah,
right,
that's important. And I didn't realize it until you told me what I just said.
Exactly.
Yeah, it lands in us differently when we hear it back. Like, somebody got me, somebody understood me.
Right.
And so at least as well as I did.
Yeah. Yeah. I just finished writing something also this morning, or transcribing it from one of my journals, which I've been doing, is like reading stuff. So in some way, if I tell you a story or about myself, and then you go, oh, right, that, and then I go, oh yeah, that's so important for that reflection. And interestingly, as I read what I've been about in the last year and a half, right? As I read it, it's almost like telling it to someone who then pulls out a line and says, that, look at that you wrote. That's important, right? And so I find myself underlining, oh.
Yeah.
And so, and parts of them.
Wow, you could have some great interviews there, some inspiring interviews with your interesting friends. You're still in touch with the guy you used to go dancing with?
Yes, he's going to be
someone you said you spoke to recently?
He's going to be my first co-host. We're going to do the first road trip, and maybe the first several, or I don't know. He's on board to do the Zoom with me, so that we're like, I think it's going to be like, if you're watching it, you know how you see an interview with someone and then there's two people sitting side by side with the coffee table and the chairs, and one is asking and the other one answers.
Yeah.
Which is kind of boring, but it's the setup. I think Zoom allows you to record like two squares side by side. So, you know, you see, I'm not sure exactly how it will look, or maybe between people. And that might be a tech person, like, do we speaker view or side by side view, like what works best for the person viewing it and works for the person doing it, right? Because it needs to work for him and for me. But yeah, he's my first buddy to do this with, and it's part of where the idea came from. I had a conversation with him on the phone. We hadn't been in touch for like a month and a half, and we had such chemistry. We were like back doing the road trip, you know, but on the phone. And I'd already talked to him about something about a podcast. And before the end of that conversation, I said, let's turn this into a podcast. Let's do this together.
If you're doing it, you're in California. I mean, that is the ultimate place in the world for a road trip. You could do one you could borrow somebody's 57 Bel Air convertible, the cabriolet, put the camera on the dashboard and go for a drive.
Up Pacific Coast
Highway.
What we need is, I just figured it out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So there's a comedian, Seinfeld, who has Friends with Coffee or something. I don't know if you've seen it. And they get
comedians in cars getting going for coffee or something.
That's it. And so, but what we could do now, Zoom lets you make a little frame around the picture. So each time we could have like a different background that's us in a different car or the same car. But that's kind of a theme. Here we are. He's at the wheel. You know, I'm the passenger. Oh, this is so much fun. I'm so excited. So he's on board. He's ready for me to just call him up and say, all right, get on the Zoom. Here we go. You know, fire up your car. We're going to do at least our first one. And then I also have a friend.
So you're going to do it with video.
Yeah.
Not just the audio.
Yeah. And the video, we'll have video, but you could just listen to audio also. You'll have these different options, right? Because Zoom also records just the audio, you know, as a separate file too, which, and so that can go on a podcast platform like iTunes has podcasts, and there's other ways that you can see. You subscribe, and then every time there's a new one, you get to listen, and you don't have to be present live, right? So that it creates this library of shows that we do.
Yeah, there are places where will host podcasts where you actually pay for the hosting, but you get much more control for it. So the really big the podcasts have got thousands of subscribers. They'll often use paid hosting.
So there's that, and there's also
it looks.
Yeah, there's also where you start to get sponsors, and they pay you. Advertise something a little bit at the beginning or the ending, and so you're actually not paying to do it, but you're getting paid to do it also, right? So
the people who are paying for their hosting are probably making way more than they're paying.
Way more. Yeah,
they've got the advertising.
Right, exactly. So step by step, you know,
you're probably going to have a few thousand listeners. You probably need a few thousand subscribers before anybody
notices.
Want to before anybody notices it, and you do anything useful with getting a sponsor. But it's a way to make a living. It's a good way to get paid, isn't it?
It is a good way. And
you're doing something you were going to do anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what also we call her my back end. Her name is Sally, and she's a friend, and she has kind of old school, but also good ideas and some helpfulness about being kind of like an agent. So if you're an actor or a comedian or someone, you kind of need someone to get you out there and get you gigs, you know, get your line you up for people to see you. And she's been working on that. She knows this idea. She's fully on board with it. Just all happened in the last week. Just the last week.
Brilliant.
You know, when it's the right thing, the universe.
To Mickey about.
Pardon me?
Is this what you talked to Mickey about? You said that you had a longer conversation with Mickey.
No, this wasn't it at all. This was something about Mickey, but it did. No, so different thing. I'm still somewhat careful about who I share this with, even though I agree with you that it needs to be shared, because I want no energy from anyone who doesn't believe in it or, you know, doesn't support it right away. And not that this wasn't even what I wanted to talk to Mickey. I was responding to something that Mickey said. And for me, what was so transformational, or, you know, was like, unlike the spontaneity I feel with you or with other friends on the phone, when I step into, or my history has been, when I step into, I have a lot of people sort of looking at me right now. We talked about risking significance, right? There's a part of me that just freezes and gets incredibly self-conscious and, you know, gagged almost, you know?
Yeah.
And
your throat can seize up, can't
yeah,
it?
exactly. Just and the huge win for me was that I was able to, and especially given there's also kind of an authority figure, somebody who at some level I'm trying to be good enough for, or please, or, you know, impress, or whatever, those kinds of things that can impede spontaneous authenticity, coming from a place of solid self-knowing and empowerment and feeling, yeah, what I have to say matters, right? And I was able to have a long encounter with her where I was able to sustain the, what I have to say matters, what you have to say matters. Let's talk about it till we have mutual understanding, you know, slowing down enough for her to really hear me and get it right, and for me to really hear her and get it right. And it was like graduating from that glass ceiling of, you know, how do I do this and be my full self and just show up when there's all this stuff at stake, what seems like what's at stake, you know, my significance. And so I was able to just let go of my significance and just be, you know, in dialogue, because I was sincerely curious and wanted my self, my questions answered, I guess. And not because she had the right answer, but like what was really going on in her heart when she's presenting. And for me to say, okay, because what was going on for me when I heard that was this. So it was almost like a difficult dialogue, but I didn't intimidate myself and shrink myself and not be able to get to a point where I could say, oh, good, okay, thanks, I'm complete, you know, I feel heard, and I think you heard me, and we have this understanding now. Thank you.
Do you know the poem, I Will Not Die an Unlived Life?
I don't have it memorized.
You've heard it?
I have heard it.
Okay, so I mean, I think it's by Dora Markova, and that's where the expression risking my significance comes from, I think.
Do you know the title?
I think it's called I Will Not Die an Unlived Life. Let's have a look.
I bet you could just Google
Found
that
it.
line. Oh, good. Okay. Tell me.
I just did.
Yep.
There you go.
All right. You put it in the chat, I'm guessing. By here you go. So,
yeah, I gave you a link in the chat.
You're so great. Thank you. Are you okay?
Can we can we just
hard.
pause?
Yeah, let's pause.
Because that was
yeah.
That was exciting and quite tiring to hear all of that.
Ah, okay.
Mm.
Please pause.
Hmm.
Ah.
Oh, excuse me.
No, it's okay.
Oh, and I was tired to begin, so.
Yeah, I had an insight. Let me know when you're open to hearing a sentence or two about kind of what you just shared about the tiringness.
Yeah.
I think
if you could go a little slowly, that would be very
yeah, it's almost a question, but my reflection was when I was sharing my joy and my passion and my aliveness, that part was nourishing for you. But when I shared about what I did with Mickey, that was intense and difficult, and it was, yeah, it was, for me, it was energy consuming also to.
Yeah, before that, I'd forgotten how tired I was because I was so engaged in what you were saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that what you were saying about your conversation with Mickey was less interesting. It might just be that I was just burned out.
Well, and it might have been the way I didn't present it like, oh, I was with Mickey and I did this and it was so great. It was more like I was reliving almost the intensity of my own trying to stay groundedness, trying, like working at it, like just sort of that it took. And my whole body got also like stiff in order to find that that kind of that fierceness or something. It's kind of a pushing energy, and I think that it's
probably more effort for you, that conversation with Mickey.
Yes,
it's probably more effort for you, where what you were talking about before is something that you would do kind of not effortlessly, but it wouldn't, there's no forcing. It's just that's who you are, that's what you like.
And when you asked about Mickey, I was thrown. I was like, well, no, that had nothing to do with anything. And I could feel almost all my cells trying to line up in a certain way. Did they want to? Could I? Was it important for me to answer the question to you? Didn't even actually ask, but I was trying to know, here's what Mickey was, right? I could have just said no and moved on. And I wish I had at this moment, in a way, because
well, that's useful to know.
Yes, exactly. It's like, wait,
you have the you have the freedom to say, no, that doesn't work for me right now.
Yeah,
can I tell you about that another time?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So really rich experiential feedback for me. Good. Even I don't even know that I was aware of how much I changed to deliver that until you were exhausted and told me.
So you noticed the effects that it was having.
Yeah. And notice that I can.
That's a useful skill if you're working an audience, isn't it? To see how the audience are.
Yeah.
Are they lapping this up, or are they checking their, what is it, nearly lunch? Is it nearly time for the break? Because I want a cup of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. And it relates to me to what we said earlier, like when you reflect back to somebody, they know themselves better. And so not just our relationship, like what's my audience doing, but in some way, if I'm engaging with you in a way that's straining or stressing or joyful, right? That, well, let me put it this way. Until you named your tiredness, I was unaware of how that story actually impacted me to tell you about Mickey.
How very different that story is to what you were talking about 15 minutes ago.
And what it does to my energy to go into that particular either. Yeah. Woof.
See, we're at the top of the hour.
Yeah, we are.
Good. That was useful as well. There's an interesting lesson there.
Yeah.
So we're at the top of the hour, and I know very tired now.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I'm hoping.
Are you still with me?
I am with you. Yeah. Are you losing it? Uh-oh. Are you here? I lost him.